Da-da-da.
Okay.
You like it?
I love it.
I love it. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Welcome to this week's YAWA. We have a little bit of show and tell, if you will. I'll let you start.
Well, today when we picked up the mail, I was super excited to open up our Pheasants Forever magazine.
Anybody that gets the Pheasants Forever magazine, throw it in the comments below. Represent.
So I was flipping through the magazine, and who popped out at me other than Vex?
So for those of you watching,
yes,
take a look.
page 19, full page ad for Eukanuba. Goes on point and in the pond.
I like it. It's very cool. This is a really cool picture. You can kind of see they obviously focused on the dog, an important part of that, but that is Kat's side leg there. Side leg.
My leg.
And Vexer, who's gorgeous.
As always. And then I was flipping
What else
through.
is in there?
I was flipping through even more. All the things, you know. And then I saw a full 2-page spread of a photo I actually took in training.
Who is that?
That's the guy with the pink gun, Ethan.
No,
But
that's the dog.
That's Willa, the Bracco Italiano. She was in for training and prepping for a natural ability test. So she made the art. Well, the article isn't from
we didn't write
us
the
or
article.
anything like that,
No.
but they used one of our photos for a highlight picture on page 34 and 35. So you'll have to check that out. Photo that I took. So I was pretty proud to see those two things in the Pheasants Forever magazine. It was cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
More show and tell. Your turn.
So those of you that like to watch the show know that I enjoy drinking bourbon and have probably never seen me drink bourbon out of this fancy little Glencairn glass. This was a birthday gift. Some of you know my birthday is right around, we are only a few hours away from my birthday. And I got these early. They came in a set of 4 with a very cool little plank thing. I've got a picture that I'm going to post later. But made out of a hair on my face. Made out of a stave that's fired and stained, and it's very, very, very cool. And I got a little. She got a little bit of help with picking out a new bottle of the evening. This is the Kentucky Owl. This is a new bourbon for me. If you have tried this, we want to hear about it.
Or if you have a recommendation of another type of bourbon he should try, because he's all
Absolutely.
about the bourbon.
I'm all about bourbon.
So, well, happy birthday, honey. And for Ethan's birthday, he got me a gift. Funny how that works. I like how that works, actually. I have to show you this because it is beautiful. This is my Questy pup. If you
Her birthday is actually tomorrow too.
Yeah, they share a birthday. So very fitting that for his birthday, he got me a present of Quest for her birthday, I guess. So I'm going to be looking at getting that framed. It is really awesome. If you have a chance, you should check out Pheasant Feather Art on Instagram. That's where
absolutely ridiculous work.
that's where he found the artist and was like, hey, I wonder if she could do something really cool with one of our dogs. And she did. I'm impressed. What do you guys think? Do you like it? I like it.
I like it a lot. Hey guys, if this is your first time to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button down over here. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. And without further ado, we're going to start answering your questions.
Again, we had an overwhelming number of questions. There's definitely no way we're going to get...
It's ridiculous. It's good ridiculous, but we absolutely love the fact that you guys love us and want us to answer your questions. But do understand, we received darn near 100 questions this week, so there's absolutely no way we will be able to get all of them. If you do not get your question answered this evening or over the course of these videos that should be going out here Wednesday, definitely hit us up on patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels. It's where we're in there answering questions. I'm keyboard warrioring every single day, except for on Sundays. That's family day.
That is true. So we're going to get started. On Instagram, May the GSP.
May the GSP.
When it comes to crate training a GSP, do you start with the crate they'll grow into or a smaller one?
That's an excellent question. So this is one that I think gets overlooked pretty regularly, or people go, hey, this is the crate. I'm going to be efficient and save a little money. But one crate to rule them all. And you end up with a situation that could go really well or could go absolutely horrible. And I'm going to say most often it's going to go worse than it is going to go well. So what ends up happening is you're going to struggle with potty training. Now, the reason you're going to struggle with potty training is because the puppy has way too much room. So they feel comfortable to be able to go to the opposite side of the kennel, go to the bathroom, go back, and still have space to lay around and be comfortable in. So you're going to want to start with the Goldilocks effect, if you will, on the crates. Not too big, not too small. You need one just right. And that's going to grow with your puppy. Now, our recommendation is buy a cheapo Walmart puppy crate for around the house. It's not really going to be that big of a deal. Now,
they honestly usually grow out of that crate between 12 and 16 weeks old. Mm-hmm. So you don't necessarily need to invest in the top of the line, super duper heavy duty, expensive crate that they're only going to be in for a few weeks, especially if it's just around the house.
We've found most of the time, especially the way that our program works, we start potty training before your puppy even comes home to you. Most of them excel, and in a approximately medium-sized crate when they come home, that's going to be that good. It's maybe just a smidgeny big to begin with, but they can kind of grow through that. And by the time they hit that 16-week mark, they're ready to move into the next crate and probably have a pretty good understanding and a pretty good routine that you could go to a larger crate that may even be close to the full-size crate for them for the rest of their life. So there are some things in there, but definitely sticking with a size-appropriate crate, which is going to be enough room to kind of stand in, lay down, but not, stand up, sit down, pick a bale of cotton.
That's what we always like to say. They just need enough room to be able to sleep in there and maybe chew on a little bone. But we're expecting to get those puppies out frequently enough to play and exercise and train that they don't need a whole lot of room in that crate. The last thing that I want to put a little plug in about crate training, Ethan had mentioned it, that we actually start that process with the puppies from our breeding program, our litters, before they even go home. The litter that we've got on the ground right now, the Muddy Benny litter, we actually just put out a video on their crate training intro.
Oh, yeah.
They are just 6 weeks old when we started this process, or I think they were maybe just under. I think they were 5.5 weeks old.
It says 5.5 weeks old, but I think that they were
they were
5.75 weeks old. It was
right before 6 weeks.
Barely.
But they started that process of staying in a crate overnight and during nap time, and then going out to play and get exercise and going to the bathroom, of course. And they have been so clean. It's been very impressive for 6-week-old puppies to have that incredible amount of bladder control.
Well, where would they be at today? What is their age right now?
They turned 6 weeks on Friday.
6 weeks on Friday. So they're approaching 6.5 weeks. So they've been approximately a week into crate training, and they are sleeping overnight from
10
approximately
p.m.
10 p.m. to 6 in the morning without accidents.
Knock on wood that continues. But they're doing awesome. It's very impressive. Now, don't have false expectations, because not every puppy is going to do that well, be that clean. There's a lot of things that go into that. And part of that is our female Muddy. She has always been a very clean, very quiet, well-behaved dog in her crate. And her puppies are exhibiting that as well, which is great to see.
Absolutely.
So the next question that I want to get to is from Who's Your Mortgage Guy? He's asked us some questions before. I love his Instagram tag.
I remember the first time that we got a question for it was, I think we were with Peter.
We were.
He said, "Who's your mortgage guy?" And he's like,
That's the question? No, that's not the question.
I guess it was like, I don't know, Smith Realty or something like that. But anyhow.
Do you guys do gun intros first or WOA training with launchers first? Or is it depending on the dog? So that's a good question. If you go to our playlists on YouTube and follow along with Quest series or Rogue series, we'll show you the order that we do all of that training in. But We typically do a bird and gun intro before we're headed to the field so that we've already done a bird introduction. Then we go to the field and start getting them to instinctually and naturally point their birds and launchers before we even introduce formal WOA training. So there's definitely a progression that needs to happen. And we do a bird and gun intro first before we get to the field.
Yeah, you said instinctually and naturally. Talk about for just a second how we actually do that, because some people utilize check cords, some people utilize other things. I mean, what are we doing differently?
And we use launchers. So we use DT systems, bird launchers, to help bring out that natural instinct to point those birds. So what happens is we put some birds out in launchers. So it's a very controlled situation. I know exactly where those birds are, and I am going to electronically control the flush of that bird. So I'm going to
be as wildlike as possible.
Yes. And I want that puppy to cut across the wind. So I don't want them to have the wind full in their face so that they can work up, follow their nose all the way up to that bird. I want it to be a crosswind situation where they're actually coming in across the scent and going, boom, what was that? And then as soon as I see that scent acknowledgement, I'm launching that bird. So that in that puppy's mind, they think, oh, I overpressured that bird. I need to be more careful. I need to be more cautious and not run in on that bird. Don't bump it. And then after the next bird, we can try and hold that launch a little bit more, especially reading your dog and seeing what their reaction was. And then by some of these puppies, by the third bird, they're already pointing. And that is how we instinctually and naturally bring out that pointing instinct in those puppies.
Next question.
This is the last question for part 1 that we're going to be able to get to today. And it is from Coach Adam Cook from Instagram. Tips for teaching new puppy how to be alone as we transition back to work.
So that's going to be a really good one. It's going to be a really important thing for a lot of people. I think that the average person, because we've heard this pretty regularly, so I would assume this is accurate, have kind of allowed their dogs to be out all the time and in a completely different routine from what they normally would be. And that may cause some issues if that's how a new puppy was developed to know this is what life is going to be. So my recommendations with that are going to be to start crate training and to do it fairly quickly, and to understand that if you haven't been doing this and kind of teaching the puppy that being alone and having alone time is okay, it's going to be a bit of a battle at this stage. So be prepared for that. Don't give up too quickly. But there's a couple different things that we're going to try with this. One of which is just plain crate training. Give them some time in their crate alone. There's 2 ways that you can go about this. This is a one that we get to go over pretty regularly. But the 2 ways we go about this would be either the dog wants to be near you, and having that crate basically next to you to begin with is going to be the easiest transition. Some dogs are, constantly distracted or worked up by what's going on in the house.
FOMO.
And FOMO, fear of missing out. And they're up and they see things and, oh, you moved, or, oh, they heard a noise. And then they're constantly getting worked up, and then that barking starts and all of those things. So that would be the dog that you would put in the back bedroom with a towel over it, with the drapes closed so it's kind of darker. You can play some white music, the radio or something, to kind of drown out the sounds of the rest of the house so they can spend an hour or 2 hours crated. And then with this process, you need to make sure, just like always, but you need to make sure that there's plenty of exercise. If you have a dog that's stir crazy or not ready to take a nap, it's no different than our child. I mean, he's 1.5 years, and you ask him, hey, buddy, you want to take a nap? No. And if he's worn out, he's like, bed.
Nap.
Yep, nap. I'm ready to go. And that's kind of the approach that we need to take with our puppies, is we need to prepare them with enough exercise and mental and physical stimulation so that you can, that they're ready for that.
But then lastly, you also have to have enough fortitude yourself that when you put your puppy in the crate and they complain about it, because especially if you haven't been doing any crate training up until this point and you're getting ready to head back to work, they're going to complain about it because this is not something that they want. They want to be out with you and they haven't had this expectation before. So they're going to complain, and you need to have some tough skin, and be able to handle listening to the whining and crying. 5 minutes of crying can seem like forever.
Forever.
And some...
Forever.
Now all you need is a flashlight. Do you know that movie reference?
Come on, this
Put
is an
it in the
easy one.
comments
Throw it in
below.
the comments.
However, if your puppy goes in their crate and they're crying and they're crying and they're crying and it just isn't going to end, you know, it's hard to just listen to it. We say #cry it out all the time, and they're going to eventually give up. The problem is if you give in and go, oh, they've been crying for 15 minutes, they've been crying for 20 minutes, and you let them out, next time it's going to be 30 minutes. It's going to be 40 minutes because they're going to think, well, I just cry long enough and mom's going to come get me out of here. So I'll just cry my little heart out even longer. So you're actually being more unfair and doing your puppy a disservice to give into their crying behavior than to just say, get over it, puppy. This may be a 30-minute cry it out session, but then the expectation is next time it will be shorter and shorter and exponentially shorter until they might go in, make a few whines, make a few grumbles, and then curl up and go to sleep. So be prepared. It's not always easy, but it is well worth it to put in the time.
And all things considered, if you've tried those things, you haven't, and your puppy starts some form of resentment or still didn't enjoy the crate, a lot of times we're going to give them something extra special for crate time. We will be putting out a video of exactly how to do this, but a Kong is a great thing to incorporate in this. So stay tuned. Again, that subscribe notifications button. Stay tuned for that video that we're going to put out about how you can utilize a Kong to solve a majority of behavioral issues around the house.
Yes. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for all your great questions.
We're going to take a short break and we will be right back.